Note taking study on page 204. What factors had a major impact on life in the Middle Ages? There's kind of 6 major factors. We're going to dissect each one. Should all be reviewed, and we've already worked with this material in class. So we're going to go through pretty quick. First is farming. They had 2 new techniques: horses rather than oxen, 3-field system of crop rotation. They also had iron. They started using iron plows. The effects of this new method was food supply increased, population increased. Second, trade. More people and wealth led to an increased demand for trade goods, and thus guild rose to protect those interests of craft people. So you had an increase of trade, an increase of towns, and also an increase of job specialization. Next, you have a devotion to God. There was 2 different kinds of expressions of this: new religious orders and building of beautiful churches. The Mendicant order is an order whose members live on donations. This is an example of one of the new religious orders. So they were in the community rather than out and separate. And a cathedral is a major church headed by a bishop who oversees the church's regent's church. They built huge Gothic cathedrals as part of their religious devotion to God. Fourth is learning. Universities began as cathedral schools for training priests, and Thomas Aquinas was probably the most famous medieval theologian or philosopher, and he was impressed by the teachings of Aristotle. He came with an idea of natural law, that all laws of nature are basic, and they both impact the natural world and human affairs. And Aquinas' proof of the existence of God was based on 2 things: reason and natural laws. Fifth, you have famine and warfare. Famine, you had the great caused by heavy rains. There was many people starved. This was the Great Famine. And you also had the 100-Year War going on at this time, too. This was fought between France and England, and put an end to old medieval ways of fighting. So knights were no longer really needed. And finally, you have the Black Death. And this was the bubonic plague. It began in Central Asia, and it killed about 25 million people, about 1/3 of the population of Europe over 50 years. And it affected all classes. So it wasn't just the peasants or the serfs that were affected. It affected nobles, it affected kings, and everybody. And this meant that peasants reacted by demanding higher wages, and the breakdown of the lord-vassal relationship is over. The breakdown of lords and serfs is completely dismantled. So feudalism and manorialism are no longer the way of life in Europe. And we're beginning into the modern era, which is what the era we're in now.